We ask that you hold all questions until after the presenter has completed their keynote, and then we will open up the floor for open feedback from members of the Bureau, as well as our wonderful Phil and Susan Sorrentino. So this evening, our speaker is Mr. Chris Holmes. He is an entrepreneur that has published 4 books, with the first one published right after high school. The books are 100 Testimonies of a Young Soul, Just Another Black Voice, Steps to Manhood, and Overcoming Mountains. Chris Holmes looks at adversity as a new opportunity for growth. The goal is to challenge the current thinking to help others take that leap of faith for the next level. He has delivered keynotes to schools, churches, organizations, events, and companies. He speaks on self-development, leadership, marketing, teamwork, branding, business, and mindset. Chris Holmes believes that the mind is the key to unlocking your success. That success can be financial or personal with the pursuit of happiness. Chris is always delivering value to others through his podcast, which includes guests by the names of Antonio T. Smith Jr. and Brian Scudamore. Both guests are millionaires, and he asks about the traits and mindset that got them there. Chris graduated from Sam Houston State University, is a member of the Rotary Club, and interned with Northwestern Mutual before graduation. He has been interviewed multiple times on local networks, covered UBAWA magazine in February 2017, and has an article in Voyage Houston. Chris loves to take on bigger challenges. He is originally from the countryside of Huntsville, Texas, and is now making a statement in the city. Growing up in that town, his expectations of life is bigger than just the prison walls. With TDCJ being the biggest employer in Walker County, Chris aimed for the impossible to not work within those walls, facing massive criticism for his vision and thoughts to bring out greatness. Chris Holmes battles adversity for the change of something better. Driven by critics and the vision of something great, he aims to encourage and guide others to the next level of their lives. Ladies and gentlemen, this evening I present to you Mr. Chris Holmes.
2020. And I want to start off this by saying, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. I'm going to say that again. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And I want you to go ahead and just raise your hands right now. If you ever had a moment or situation or opportunity came before you and you just felt like, am I actually ready for this? Because that is going to happen throughout our lives. And the funny thing, interesting thing about this is the greatest opportunities usually happen when you're outside your comfort zone, when you're challenged beyond your expectations, because that's what really is your time for growth. So if I really think about it, like from the time from my high school, from like trying out for the basketball team, and I'm thinking like, am I really ready for this? Or like, practicing so many times beforehand and just having those thoughts constantly go through my head, am I actually ready for this? Well, those thoughts go through everybody's mind. But the question is, how do you address that? Or what is your action going forward? Because we all have those kind of thoughts go through our head at all times. But it's how you react to those thoughts that really what matters. And throughout high school, I challenged those thoughts multiple times, from trying out for the basketball team and making it, to like taking all different kind of courses and classes through colleges and pulling through. Or even taking the consideration of writing out my first book straight out of high school, thinking that I was too young. But I pushed through and made sure that I got it done. It's those challenges that actually make you into the person that you shall become. Because if you really think about it, your legacy is built on how you overcome different adversities and much more. It's how you handle it and improvise, how you adapt, how you make yourself better, because every day you should challenge yourself to become a better person of you, because you never know who's watching. From the parents, from the schoolhouse, sports team, and much more. You are always going to face a situation of, are you ready? And when it finally hits you, that is your time to shine. In clutch situations, where you crumble or you stand up to the opportunity. Because if you think about throughout history, every person who's made a mark throughout society and much more has made their stamp and innovating past expectations. When they were challenged, are you ready for this? Because when you face these different challenges and opportunities, it's always best to stay ready. Because if you're in a situation, you're like, oh, I don't know, I'm ready for this, or I just let it slip through, you will have thoughts of regret and fear. Well, I'm telling you right now, at the start of 2020, it's time for you to take action on everything that you want in your life. Not from me, but for yourself. Because we all put out goals and expectations that we want. And a lot of times you may be facing a situation that you feel like you are not ready for. But it's during that time that can actually be your time for a breakthrough. So you must break through the challenge and adversity, because that's going to what molds you to the person that you shall become, the leader, the great parent, and much more, to become that great leader, to spark the minds of the next generation. It all comes up to you. So with this going on and much more, this always comes back to the set of the mindset. Because I feel like a lot of times when we are challenged with great challenges and adversities and much more, a lot of times we ask ourselves, do I deserve this? Do I deserve this time and opportunity of greatness? And I want to go ahead and tell you right now, and unlock the chains and tell you, you deserve greatness. Never mind what your friends said. Never mind what your parents said. Never mind what your coworkers said. Never mind what your past said about you. This is your time for 2020 and for the rest of your life to start living the best life ever. And it's time to start focusing on the future in the present day. Because what's in the past can't be changed. But what you can change is what's happening today and in the future. So how many times are you going to be stuck in the past and miss your opportunities that are right before you? It's time for you to step up to the challenges. Because you only really, if you really think about it, you only get one shot at life. So why would we act like we have multiple chances at bat? Like we're just going to have multiple opportunities, 3 strikes? No. I want to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, you only get one opportunity. So why not make it the best opportunity and take advantage of this? Leave a legacy, live the best life that you deserve. Because you owe yourself that. You owe yourself through all the pain that you went through. You owe yourself that. So while you were going through your pain, why not get a reward for it? That is how greatness is built up and much more. It's when you fight through the pain, fight through the adversity, and get what you truly deserve. Because if you just wait too long, you may not get another opportunity, and it may just slip out of the blink of an eye. And you will never get that opportunity again. Don't let regret be the stamp in your life. Let this be the time for your greatness. Because the biggest and the most gold mine on planet Earth is the grave. Think of all the different dreams, ideas, inventions, and much more that were left unsaid, left untouched, and probably would have changed the rest of society, but they did not press, play, or execute on the ideas that they had in their mind, and much more because of fear, and they believed that they weren't ready. So for today, I'm telling you right now, and unlocking the change, this is your time to shine. This is your time to break through. This is your time for freedom. This is your time to leave a legacy for your family and yourself. Because at the end of the day, we all play an important role into the book of life. So how are you going to leave your mark? How are you going to leave a legacy? How are you going to leave a lesson? It all comes up to you. And you are the writer in this great book of life. So instead of being trapped in the mindset, instead of being trapped by the fear or the judgments of others and those who surround you throughout the nation or even your local community. Because there's going to be times where the people that are even close to you are going to challenge your mind the most, or maybe even tell you it can't be done. And I'm telling you right now, it's time for you to break through all those chains. Because just like Martin Luther King had a dream, you do too. And it's time for you to shine 2020 and the rest of your life. So remember that. Let this be your moment. And stay ready, because opportunity only comes once. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's open. You can unmute your mics and give a round of applause to Mr. Chris Holmes.
All right, Chris.
Right, so now the floor is open. Do we have, we're going to do 2 or 3 open feedbacks from other members of the Bureau, and then we're going to go to Mr. Phil and Miss Susan Sorrentino. So is there anyone who would like to give some open feedback to Chris, or just pour back into him what he just poured out to us? Ms. Maya, I see your mic is unmuted. Go ahead.
Chris, like, your words are so profound, only because when you're talking about the legacy and just being able to have something set up, like as far as your dream and different things like that, you're thinking so far ahead, and you know that we don't think about. We think about maybe 5 to 10 years, but here you go. It's like eternity situation. You're setting up everything from this point until then. So yes, I think like you were on it. You were on it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who has some words they would like to speak? Oh, I just saw whoever the Galaxy S7. I just saw you unmute your mic. The floor is yours. Oh, whoever iPhone is, the floor is yours.
Hi guys, can you hear me? I think everybody can hear me.
Yes,
I felt like that message was directly for me. It was very heartfelt and received just based off where I am in my life. So it was like a push, and definitely it brought a level of encouragement for me to just go ahead and step out of the box and do what I know I'm called to do what I know it's time to do. So it was like, even through the wind of that speech, I felt the motivation and the energy to go ahead and say, he talking directly to you. You might want to go ahead and execute the plan that he talked about, so that you don't miss out on the opportunity. So the fact I was able to just recall everything that he said, it stuck definitely in my mind and in my heart.
Greatness is upon you.
Okay, we're going to open it up for one more person for open feedback. Do we have anyone else who would like to say something to Chris? Open feedback, or just pour back into him what he just poured out to us? All right, well, if not, we are going to open it up to the masters. Phil and Susan Sorrentino, the floor is now yours. Miss Susan, I see your mic is unmuted.
Yes, yes. Great job, Chris.
Thank you.
Your objective to motivate us, from what we heard and what I felt, you definitely accomplished that. Your introduction that Deanna read was great. You have a great introduction. I'm still thinking about maybe it being a little too long. You might want to shorten it up a little bit, because normally introductions are not quite that long. So think about that a little bit. I believe you really told us what your objective was. You had clear intent in your opening, to take action in your life, to start living your best life. You were very clear on that. I like the example of inventions that were never carried through because of fear. That was a good example there. And you're very motivating. What I would probably want to see or hear is a little bit more about you. A story or two about you, that how you kind of overcame. You talked a little bit about in high school, but it was pretty brief. So we can feel that and feel you a little bit more personally. And that's maybe, if you have more time, that's something that you can build into it. for a longer presentation, because you have everything else there. Everything else is there, very motivating and inspiring, and you want to take action, and it's memorable what you have to say. And you know, you're someone that you perk up and you want to hear what you have to say. You have that stage presence. It's very good. Just add in a little bit of personal in there so that we feel you too. I mean, how it made me feel, those are, you know, some of the intangibles. I felt convinced, you know, and yes, I'd want to listen to you again. You know, some of the ideas, they're some of your own original ideas. You also, you know, drew on Martin Luther King. I heard a little bit of Les Brown in there. So, and you closed this out, you know, you gave us a call to action on what you want us to do. And that's the whole goal is a call to action, so that, you know, the people that hear you are going to make a change, do something different in your life. And that you accomplish that. So well done.
Thank you so much. And I'll do the little feedback and changes to add a little personal touch of my own back.
Chris.
Yes.
Great job. I'm going to repeat a lot of the things that Susan said, maybe go a little bit deeper. Now, remember, I'm wrong often, so what I say isn't always 100% right, but it's my opinion, and that's what you're going to get. And remember, my favorite introduction is, if this guy's any good, let's get him up here. If he's not, let's get this over with. Now, I believe the audience wants more than that, but that's where I'm coming from. So I think your introduction was definitely too long, and you need to go through it. And when you go through it, after you send, you go, so what does the audience care about this? If you want to send it to me, there's some, I could read it again and tell you what I would take out if you want to do that, and that's fine, but definitely too long on the introduction. I would have also liked for you to have a title, have Grace or Deanna. Who read the introduction?
That was me, Mr. Phil.
Yeah, Deanna, I just forgot. I'm really getting to the point where I think the introduction should end with what the title is of your program, because then you could go into that. And the suggested title, I would like to learn how to overcome adversity. We're going to talk about learning how to overcome adversity. And I think that's what your intent was, and that's what you said, but I didn't get a lot of how-tos. I can climb the highest mountain, I can swim the deepest ocean, but you're not teaching me how to climb, and you're not teaching me how to swim. So you need to integrate some of the how-tos within your program, so that I have, when we get down to the conclusion, I have an action step. I also disagree with your conclusion, opportunity only comes once. If that's true, I've been in a lot of trouble a long time ago. I don't believe that's true. I believe opportunity comes a lot of times. It's just we're not ready and we're not willing to do what we need to do to take advantage of it. So I just disagree with that premise. I agree with Susan. Do I deserve this? That's a great line. That's very powerful. And then that might be a time for you to weave in a personal story. And here's why I didn't think I deserved it. Or here, when I thought I didn't deserve it, here's what I went through to realize I did deserve it. That's a good time for you to do the personal stories in there to make it more real, because I'm sure you've got some great stories and I was just waiting for them. Your vocal variance could be better. You know, you could slow down. When you leaned in, that was powerful. I love that action. That was good body language. When you leaned into the shot that you were making your point, but still you could slow down a little bit, pause, be loud, be quiet. So work that into as you're putting together your program. Your enthusiasm was great. You had actually no humor. There was no part of your program in which you made me laugh, or that even you wanted to laugh. And I think you just need to bring a little bit more playfulness to it. You can talk about serious topics, but you can do it in a fun, uplifting, humorous way. Gestures were good. Your eye contact was good. Yeah, I mean, you've got all the ingredients, and it's just going to be a question of keep doing this over and over again. And again, you've heard me say this before. There's 3 speeches. There's the speeches you gave as you went to the program. There's the speech you gave to the program. Then there's speech you want to give after you've left the program. So hopefully we've given you some meat to help you when your next program be a little bit better.
Sounds good.
Get what I said? I didn't notice you didn't take any notes. You got a photographic memory?
Oh yeah, and I'm gonna like write it down as soon as like everything's like paying attention and make sure I get it all in.
Yeah. And if you don't remember it, you can contact me or give me a call or do whatever, and I'll go over it again with you, because I really know that you can really make a difference and you can really be an impactful speaker. It's just a question of doing it enough to you get better and better, and you've got it. So keep that up.
Will do.
Yes, I agree with Phil. You really have it, and it really shows that you care. So I know that you've heard everything, and you'll want to incorporate those in, because you're that type of person that really cares. You've worked on this. You've really studied this, and it shows. And you can. When Phil said, "Did you get that?" Everyone, you can go on and listen back to these. And you can listen back to Chris in the
Got
back.
it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So again, unmute your mics and let's give Chris a round of applause for his keynote this evening.
All right, Chris.
Go, Chris.
Great job.
And we will see everybody next week. I will announce in the group who our keynote speaker for next week will be. So thank you all for joining us for the Bureau keynotes. Chris, amazing job. Thank you so much. Phil and Mr. Phil and Miss Susan, as always, a pleasure to have you. And thank you all so much for joining us this evening. Everyone have an amazing evening and Happy New Year to you.
Bye-bye.
Happy New Year.
Good night, everyone. Love you more, Phil.
Love ya.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.